smooth strong. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand to receive the Town Mayor of Biddulph, Councillor Adrian Lawton, Deputy Town Mayor of Biddulph, Councillor Charlie Smith, and the Chief Officer, Mrs. Sarah Hay. And I call upon Reverend Yang Case to offer a prayer for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather and serve our town together. We thank you for the commitment and care shown by our town council in working for the good of the whole community, for its concern for the vulnerable and marginalised, and for the many activities offered freely for the enrichment of our lives. In this meeting, we ask you to be in the midst of our discussion. Grant us wisdom in decision-making, clarity in conversations and solutions to the challenges ahead. May you grant support, creativity, skill, and expertise to all that have been planned. Grant direction and guidance to all that is yet to come. May our collaboration and unity make Biddulph, the garden town of Staffordshire, a place of beauty, hope, and love for many generations. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, if I'll just alert you to the owl, which is in the middle of the room. We're having some technical issues with regards to sound and image, which we are kind of negotiating with the contractors about. But we're trying a different solution this evening, just so that we can ensure that we have got a recording or something of the meeting that we can put on our YouTube channel. But we're just going to have a bit of a play with it as it's up to try and get the best solution.
Thank you. So, with optimism in mind, I will read the disclaimer. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Biddulph Town Council YouTube page. The aim is that decision-making should be transparent and in the public domain, which will involve more of our community in local democracy. By being in this council chamber, you are consenting to being recorded and for your image to be added to YouTube. The images and sound may be used for training purposes. Any views expressed are the speaker's own and do not necessarily reflect the view of Biddulph Town Council. Please view the guidance on recording in public meetings policy if you need more information. So, I'd like to declare tonight's meeting of Biddulph Town Council this on the 10th of February be open. And moving on to the public participation part, we have Police Officer Liam Warrilow.
Yeah.
Liam, thank you for being with us tonight.
No problem.
Would you like to start with yours?
Yeah, so good evening all. I'd just like to say, overall at the minute in Biddulph, we're doing better, touch wood. I'm aware of some issues cropping up again at Sainsbury's. We've got like a new up and coming group which are testing the waters at the minute with staff at Sainsbury's and what boundaries they can push. So we're aware of that and we're working with the staff at Sainsbury's about that and disperse them into hopefully smaller groups and elsewhere so they're not causing the issues that they are doing. We're also aware we've still got some issues going on up at Malcop in the lay-bys there with antisocial vehicles, things like that. The reports to police have reduced, but from speaking to local residents, we are aware that they're still going on. They're just not reporting as often as they were in the height of summer when it was every night. And as for the issue with the motorbikes, we're aware it's still going on, one in particular on one of the electric bikes. But it's died down a lot from the amount of incidents we were having reported to now. Yeah, well,
Thank you. So councillor Yates first, please.
Yes, thank you, and very good to see you. Thanks for turning up. Yeah, the three things which you've mentioned, you know, in some respects, there's a degree of working together on this. I was actually the same as when I come across those group of lads.
Yeah.
So they were messing around and spilled a drink, which was their own drink all over the floor, laughing again. Anyway, I sort of followed them down the aisles and got security, and everything was sort of under control. But yeah, that's the first time for a while I've seen something like that. So very much elated for that. With regards to the lay-bys up front, you know, and obviously, we've been very much involved.
I'm well aware you're
on
board with
yeah.
that.
We are hoping very, very soon to get a meeting. It's hard to coordinate and get everybody together. There's been a couple of illnesses to get everybody together. We've now got some more clarity from Cheshire East about the ownership and about their willingness to actually resolve that problem and move it on so it can be looked after. And hopefully we'll get a solution before it starts back up when we get the light and house, because that's when it is, you know, the car cruising in the winter and whatever. So I think with the cooperation of the residents, which I'm sure we'll get, obviously the police are on site, Cheshire is now very much on site. I think we'll come to a workable solution which will suit residents who use it for legitimate reasons as well as an in the board, which is what we aim to do. And the motorbike, both me and Councillor Rogers are sick of watching him drive past it, aren't we? We growl every time, you know.
Yeah.
It's one particular black clad person, and you just need to be lucky. Simple.
Yeah, absolutely, because unfortunately we're not allowed to go after motorbikes or electric bikes. So the battle we face
It's batteries got to be black,
but yes, we can help.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for coming
No problem.
in. Just on the bikes, I very nearly got a T-bone by on here. Last week, come on the walk road.
Yeah.
I looked right, you do look straight on, glanced right, and just as I started to move, you came straight down through the North Street at very high speed.
Yeah.
So it's not just nuisance. If I had seen him and he'd have T-boned me, I could have completely.
Oh, absolutely,
been
yeah.
a long time for me, because I'm sure they would have blamed me for not seeing him coming. He was all in black.
To certainly try.
It was off like this. So somebody is going to get killed, and it's probably going to be one of the lads on the bikes.
And it is a massive danger, not only to them on the bikes, but to the people in Biddle, which we're aware of. Like I say, it's just a matter of identifying who it is and trying to take that back and rerun.
Yeah. The reason I've stood up really though is, and it's not very often I have a crime to report a little more, but I understand in the last few weeks there was a car stolen from a dwelling in Biltmore. They forced the back door or the side door, took the keys while people were in the house, took the car keys and stole the car. Any news of it? And do you know anything about it?
I know about the incident, but I don't know where the investigation is. But I can certainly try and find out and make sure the officer who is investigating it is keeping in contact with the victim so that they know where the investigation is. But off the top of my head, I don't know where
I believe the owner of the car has got the car back.
Oh, okay.
I believe, I don't know. I've only heard this on the.
Yeah, I didn't know
on
that
the
part, but
grapevine. I could be wrong, but it's just disturbing that they're so brazen now that they'll just. Particularly if you've got a key safe, don't leave the key in it unless you need to leave it in, because they can get at them, they'll get at the key, they'll take the key safe away, they'll get it smashed open, they'll take the key out and come back. So, because I had a key safe on the front door for my son.
Yeah.
If he's, you know, when he was a teenager, we don't keep the key in it anymore.
One
If
thing,
anybody's listening, no key in it.
one thing that I will do as well is I'll find the exact one. There was a video put on social media showing the differences in key safes. So he puts a master lock key safe on the wall of his property, starts a timer on his phone, gets a little flat-headed screwdriver and a brick, and it sits and the key safe comes open. And in something like 0.03 seconds, he's got the keys to his house. He then puts one on that's approved by the police and another organisation, and he's using a hammer, screwdriver, everything. He cannot get into it. Within about 5 minutes, he's made that much noise. He's made no real progress in getting inside to get the keys. So what I'll do as well is I'll find out exactly which key safe that is, and I'll send it out on smart alerts or all Biddulph as well to say if you use a key safe instead of swapping
The thing is though, what they do, and I understand, is leave, I'm not giving anybody ideas in that, but they leave it off the wall,
Yeah.
take it away,
and then
and
go
deal
back.
with it in a workshop.
Yeah.
You know, they put it in a donkey show, cut it in half.
Yeah.
Then they've got the key, and they go back. So, this is the worry for me.
Yeah.
And these little chip and it ones with the rollers in,
Yeah.
it's so easy.
But we obviously we try and send out as much as we can on smart alerts as well around crime prevention for things like that, and letting people know that we have say key safe burglaries happening in the area and how best to protect yourself against that. So I will find out what the difference is in that key safe, and I'll get a smart alert sent out to everyone in Biddulph to say if you use one, consider changing to this.
Well, I think the message not to leave a key habitually in with the key safe, if
Yeah.
it's not needed, is one to heed.
As well as if you do absolutely need a key safe and you need to leave the key in, possibly don't put it right at the front of your property where everyone can see it and things like that. So they're all things I will get out on smart alert for that.
Can I say please that the deputy mayor has a point to make on this one?
Yeah,
Cool.
just say that PC Scott, I haven't got his surname.
Harry.
Harry, when he came to the town council on the last time, we did ask him to put something out on smart alerts. It has already gone out,
Okay.
and he did email me a copy of a copy of what he put out, exactly what you said,
Yeah.
what sort
Yeah.
of. So just to not duplicate you anymore.
No, that's fine.
Maybe you can send it out again. And,
Yeah. And what I'll do then is I will find Scott on the system and resend that out.
Thank you. Councillor Marks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, I don't want to speak too much about my delicate sense of smell. But just lately, a couple of times in Sainsbury's, but then today, on 2 occasions with 2 different people, I've sort of been having to walk through the midst of really intense smoking of the ganj.
Okay.
Okay, now in Sainsbury's, it was very, very clear it was young people, you know, that they do it down at the end by the steps. But today it was 2 adult men dressed completely normally, going about their business, walking down the high street, smoking a joint, each, as if nothing, it didn't matter, you know, in any shape or form. So I'm just wondering, what is your policy on walking in the wind of ganja or stop? Because I mean, maybe I'm not alone, but you know, I'm smelling it walking out of cars when you walk past cars. You know, the use is increasing. People are vaping it now more as well, which I know is an issue. So I'm just wondering what you kind of do. You're on the street, you're walking down, you smell the ganja. What do you do?
So there's a few different ways it can be dealt with, especially depending if it's a PCSO or a police officer dealing with it. But obviously it's against the law to smoke, and as we can probably all agree, it's the worst smell and it gets everywhere. So we can issue what we call a CR1 community resolution, which is basically we will see if we've stopped them in the smoking it, we take it off them. We're not allowed to keep it unless nowadays I'm led to believe people can get some prescription from a doctor for a vape and have it legally, but they have to have their prescription on them at all times. But obviously if it's not for legal reasons, we can take it. And we also put that diversionary measures in on that CR1, which will be like referring them to substance misuse people to try and deviate them off using it. But obviously, depending on how much they've got on them, if it meets a certain criteria, it's to be a police officer dealing with it all the time anyway, because it then becomes is it for you personally, or have you got more on you which could be issued out? So then that's for an officer to look at more than us locally.
Which would suggest you've got the means of addressing the person directly, if you wish, if you find it slow.
If
Exactly.
yeah, so if they're just walking down the street with it in their hand, Yeah, absolutely, we can go and address that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I say we've got the full agenda tonight, this is why I'm trying to put it on.
Yes, okay.
Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, very quickly. I'm just thinking, you know, the bikes thing, it's been cheering and cheering and cheering. Has it been sort of escalated up to the Police and Crime Commission or whatever? You know, are we looking at it county-wide? Because it can't be just happening sort of in the middle.
I can't say for certain, if it's been escalated or not. I'm led to believe it has. But I haven't personally set it up, so I can't say 100%. But I am aware it's not just Biddulph, it is happening nationally. I mean, it was only a few months ago, it was on BBC News and it was happening all around London and everywhere. So it's not just Biddulph that's being held victim to these bikes. It is a national thing that's happening all over the country.
I mean, I knew that was probably the answer, but I was just wondering whether it is being looked at you know, to
Yeah.
a more national or regional level. Secondly, do you know a James Shaw, an officer? I've been given an email address for it. And I've sent him an email, I haven't had a reply, so I don't know for sure whether he's real.
Okay. I don't, the name doesn't ring a bell off the top of my
Maybe
head.
Cheadle.
But we've had a move around of officers from other stations as well, and like some of our officers have gone over to Newcastle and Newcastle have swapped with them. So it could be someone who's
It was a long
like
shot.
quite new. But what I will do is when I get downstairs, I'll look on our system to make sure they do exist. And I will send him an email for you to say, can you get back in touch?
I've got a email address, but
Yeah.
I've not had a reply, so it's only whether. Okay, thank you.
But I'll chase that up for you.
Thank you very much.
So, if no more questions, can we thank you very much, Liam, for your contribution tonight.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. To say, trying to get through this, big agenda, you know, on the lines. So, receive, and the actual item reads number 81, to receive an update from the county council representatives.
Well, this will be quick.
Yes, it should be very quickly. So, have you heard from them?
No, not this time.
So, we've heard nothing from them, we don't see them, so I'm very sorry, we must take ahead and move on at this point.
I'd like to ask if the town administrator has any contact or responses from them, if you do ever contact them.
I invite them every time, and last month we had a response from Councillor Edmonton this month. So I'll continue to invite them to spring. Okay.
Yeah, not on that sort of sick of foggy that dead or
Well,
well,
that's soon.
you know, have we had any, and I'm looking at a space on the agenda where I can come in with it, it's the flags issue. And I was wondering, have we had any reply from the chief executive yet? Because we did write to him after the last town council meeting, so have we had any reply from him? No, right, now then, in that case then, there must be some way that we can hold this guy to account. Because he must be beholden to some code of practice where he's duty bound to reply to certainly individuals, certainly town councils. And it's a hot potato all over the place, so I'm just, and I can understand his position, you know, his political masters will be wondering, you know, not wanting him to jump on one side of the fence or the other. But I just find it absolutely disgusting that a paid official of the county council is not replying to the town council. And I'm just wondering, is there any other way we can sort of get to it? Is there some professional body who's going to report it to?
Can I say, councillor, given that we've got the full agenda and this strictly speaking isn't on these.
That's why I put it in there.
Can I ask please, if, you know, you're more experienced than I, is there a law appropriate or convenient place for this matter to be discussed in the various meetings that we hold other than full council? Or would you suggest?
It's part of the whole.
When we find out that it's a body that is beholden to, that's all. That we can complain to, that matter, yeah.
with those comments tonight, Councillor Jones, have you got anything?
Just very quickly, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I just wanted, I'm not going to go through all what we've done before, or flogging it in also, but I just wanted to make you aware, I was privy to a Facebook exchange between Councillor Linda Mallion, who's the district councillor for Ipswich, and there's also an Ipswich Parish Council. And their county councillor turns up at their meetings. And the exchange goes along the lines of Linda was just thanking him for being there, and the reply from the Councillor Sue Beardmore, who's reformed county councillor, was, "You're very welcome, that's what we're here for. Please let me know if there's anything else you need. Happy to get frog all issues sorted." So it's not a policy from reform, it's our two county councils are choosing to treat us with contempt.
Yes.
Yes.
And that needs recorded, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor, thank you. But we must move on really now.
It's important stuff, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry,
It's important stuff.
it is indeed, and that's why I asked, it's worthy of discussion, but it's a different forum, you know, rather than this full agenda that we have to now. That's why I asked the question.
It's on the agenda.
Can we put it on the agenda for next month, please?
Yeah.
Progress accordingly. As we need to scale it up a bit.
Very good, thank you.
Yes,
Our apologies.
Councillor Salt, Brady, Fletcher, Redfern and Purden.
Thank you.
Oh, apologies, sorry, Mr. Mayor, Dave Proudlove, Councillor Proudlove.
Item 83, declaration of interest. Declare any disclosable pecuniary interest and dispensation.
With regard to the Chinese New Year spending.
Expenditure to do.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And the other declaration, to declare any other disclosable interests that you're aware of at this point. Councillor Jack.
There's an application for £250 for Middle Senior Centre Club. I'm a member of that club.
Thank you for that. And as always, if you find that the business then does involve something which is over the community candidate there. Councillor, have you got that way?
Yeah, just the travel expenses and my town council allowance as well, thank you.
Thank you. Like that. We now move on to item 84, which is to receive and very appropriately approve minutes. And the first one is the meeting of the town council in January. The 13th of January. And as usual, we'll just go through by mentioning the number of the paragraphs. We responded to what you said. So, the one thing we're supposed to do with those in attendance. So 67, paragraph 68, 69, 70, 71, A, B, C, D, and E, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, A, B, C, 78, 79, yes, that. So, I know some of that. Oh, but next, can't hear.
Just quickly, Mr. Mayor, then forgive me if I've missed it somewhere, but we've just been discussing what we've done to get a response from the county council. It's not under 68. Where's that been recorded? What we said we'd write to the chief executive, that must be recorded somewhere. Sorry, Jim,
Item 73 on the last agenda, received an update in relation to the installation of flags in county council property, and it was there was a proposal motion there that was agreed.
Item 73.
That's specific to the flags though, that's not to do with councillors non-attendance. I think we need to sort of record that somewhere, if we're going to, particularly if we're going to follow it up.
What is, son, what's it, what do you want to record?
Well, we've just been talking about, haven't we? Didn't we agree at the last meeting that we're going to write to the chief exec to find out why, you know, what's going to happen about them coming to see us, because they're not coming to see us. And we haven't had a reply, so I presume you've done that better.
I think the issue, I think the writing to the chief exec was about flags, you know, not going to be forward him, the chief exec wouldn't have anything to do with council.
Was it not, but I couldn't, well, to be honest. Well, if you're happy with that, councillors are happy with that, then that's fine. I just didn't want it to slip under the wire, and I should have known better than you, really.
The artists of exec making their councillors go be wrong. That's not interesting.
No, okay, well, thank you.
What's that, says?
The proposal. And it's very special to play the countdown. And those in favour of acceptance, please? Yes, thank you. That's it.
Yes.
So, for next, minutes to receive and consider are those of the recreationist Greens Committee held on the 13th of January. And once again, going through the paragraphs, I think about the amendments to mention. Paragraph 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60. We then have confidential items 61 and 62.
As standing chair for the evening, I'll have to propose those.
So those who access to receiving those. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have the planning minutes. Minutes of the planning committee of the 20th of January. Any ones regarding the attendance? Paragraphs 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60.
Chair, can I read those minutes, please?
Yes, thank you. Secondly, and before this. So, those for acceptance, those names. Yes, acceptance. And then we move to the minutes of the town and community committee meeting, held on Tuesday, the 20th of January. Any points regarding the attendance? And rating to number 58. Sorry, the number.
If I can, Mr. Mayor, that meeting is chair, that meeting proposed those minutes. The confidential item 58 was taken at the beginning of the meeting because there were a number of attendees who were needing to leave early.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Thank you. So. The confidential item 58 at first, councillor Garvey reminds us. Then, public items 52, 53, 54, 55. A, B, B. Then we go to 9. 6. If I have a them.
Well, done very well then, actually.
Yes. Was run off.
We'll slightly amend the numbering there. Start with that. I think it's the trouble when you mess around with this, isn't it? Start with 58. Goes to 53, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well amend that, then.
So, subject to that correction. With section,
So proposed.
and you propose this councillor Garvey, secondly councillor Redden. Thank you. Those who accept it will get the other amendment. Thank you. Amendments accepted. Then with minutes of the finance, strategy and management committee.
I'll ask you to move those minutes, please, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. On the 27th of January. So, those present. Paragraphs 83, 84, 85, 86, A, B, and C, 87, A, B, C, D, 88, A, and B, and then confidential items 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, A, B, C, D, E. Then 95, A, B, C, D, and E. And those complete the paragraphs. No, councillor.
Just a quick question, please, on 95E, are those wheels in motion now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You propose that section, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You would exactly why? Councillor Hall. May we vote for that section? Thank you very much. Thank you. Back to the ninth agenda, item 84. Now move on to item 85. And here it is, the mayor's communication. After the Christmas period's peak of engagements, the last few weeks have been a relatively tranquil period in the mayor's calendar. I was invited to the Little in Broome thank you event held in the town hall in mid-January. A pie and peas supper was provided, and thank you certificates were presented to those who have contributed to the society's activities during the past year. To my great surprise, I received one. And anyone who knows my gardening ability will realise how unexpected that was. However, I was told it was of my interest in supporting gender for the society. The next event Last Friday, I was invited back to Springbank Nursing Home. As the singer who I so enjoyed last time is performing there again. Also, there's another reason to be apparent in people. I spent a very pleasant afternoon there refreshed by tea and cakes. The third engagement was last evening, here at the town hall, where Biddulph Rotarians held their annual Youth Speaks competition, when schools in Biddulph, Congleton, Macclesfield presented short talks about their chosen subjects. Each speaker then had to reply to a question on their subject posed by two members of the audience. I was one of the questions. This was followed by an interval, in cake once again, while the judging panel completed their deliberations. The two winning teams now go forward to the finals to be held in Mount. Looking slightly ahead, so those are those I've attended, looking slightly ahead, later this week, there are two more engagements which I'll just make aware of. One on Friday is the AGM of Biddulph and Doom, been invited to it, and the other on Saturday is the Chinese New Year event at the town hall. But more about those next time. That completes my mayor's report for this meeting. You, are there any points? Have you? Thank you.
Yeah, just a very, very quick brief mention. I was thrilled to be invited to the chairman Adam Parks's Kaylee Burns night. An incredible night, and just a bit of a shout out really to John Jones and his Scottish accent. Very enjoyable. I don't think I'll ever recover from being dragged to dance by Councillor Garvey, or the amount of councillors exposing the knees in kilts. But a very enjoyable event, which I hoped raised lots of money for Councillor Parks' charity, which include Biddulph Youth and Community Zone and Lincoln District's Mountains. Very good event, thank you.
Thank you. So we now move on
Actually, Jacob, just make one sentence.
Yes, of
follow
course.
up to that, and that's just, I'd like to thank the town council for allowing us to use the town hall for that event. And actually, the event grossed over £3,000, of which half of that is charity, will go directly to my charities. And for a single event, that is absolutely remarkable. But I'd also like to share that if it wasn't the Councillor John Church, it would never have happened, and it was remarkable. Thank you.
Come on.
It was a pleasure.
That's congratulatory note. We move on now to agenda item 86. Standing agenda item A, B and C. Keep on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quite short and sweet for me, actually. So, with regards to A, updates on the management of town council assets. We have the local government reorganisation and devolution meeting tomorrow evening. So I'm hoping to many of you as possible to join me for that. As I haven't got any updates on any of the same activities, actually. We're just kind of reviewing things as they come along. And as regards the update of all of those together from it, the next meeting is actually tomorrow, so we were slightly out of sync in terms of updates there. But I would just like to mention the board in Biddulph event that we had, which was the 4th Tuesday in the town hall, and it was absolutely sensational. It just attracted such a lot of people who don't normally come to a town hall, and we don't normally attract to our events. And that was done under the banner of Biddulph Works Together. It's a really lovely group to work with. Congratulations to them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 87. Receive an update on outside body meetings attended since our last council meeting. As looking at these, built-in room, well,
No.
none, was participating the AGM.
Yeah.
We did so. Modern Assembly. And which is Parish Council Association.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I attended the Staffs Parish Council Association a couple of weeks ago. The annual report's here. I'll pass it around and it has confidential information in there. Very much slippery, of course I can't stand and read all that. So I'll pass it around if you've got to take a glance at what goes on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good. And we've got the Morgan's Parliament report. You. Then we have the Twinning Association, and I've got a little note I've added there, including pasta making. So I'm aware that they have had this fundraising activity very recently. So has anybody reported, can report direct from the Training Association? It is, I was supposing, Tiffany, which it is. Yeah, so if I make a quickly move to the pasta making.
If I can, Mr. Mayor, yes, I think the pasta making event that was organised by the Twinning Association was an excellent day. It was actually interesting. It was quite an interesting demographic. We had young people as well as people of my age coming out there to make pasta. It was a fantastic event. I'd like to thank the Twinning committee for the work they put into that, particularly the tutor who was doing Rosa who was doing the training for us. It was an absolutely wonderful day, and I'm still enjoying the pasta.
Did we take your own rolling pin?
I was in the fortunate position of having a pasta rolling machine to take, which was made excellent use of by the vast majority of the people there. So yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Lastly, the fair trade. So that concludes item 87. Now we move to item 88. To consider the town council response to the peak cluster consultation. And there is a focus email from the back here, very pictorial. But I believe that a couple of councillors have actually had some involvement in this. You know, we've got, I believe, Councillor Yates and Councillor Dawn. Would I invite either of you to consider?
Yes, thank you very much. Quite a lot of information there, to be perfectly honest. I did send quite a comprehensive response to the chief officer, and we had a brief discussion if it was a consequence of that. Basically, my portfolio at Staffs North District Council, which covers both aspects of this, climate change and the environment. When you say involved, not involved as in get on and do it, but basically very much included in all the discussions from the outset and all the consultations which have taken place since. And effectively, what it is that it's a way of effectively safeguarding one of our major industries, which has a massive contribution towards construction and the chemical industries in the UK, and that is by taking away all the carbon emissions and all the pollutants which come out of the chimney stacks at 5 principal cement and lime quarries and works, and piping them to a redundant exhausted gas field in Morecambe Bay. Which sounds a little bit outlandish, but the technology is reasonably well proven. One of the concerns which there always is how impervious is an old gas field once the gas is being taken out, because the process of taking out gas involves sticking pins into it and drawing the gas out. But certainly having a gas pipeline, and we have many gas pipelines in the country, having an additional one which happens to be for CO2 and a few extras as opposed to methane is perfectly sensible and perfectly viable. I mean, that technology is proven. Once made, it will be underground and obviously not seen. That's not to you know, diminish the fact that there will be some short-term and medium-term potential disruption at sites, especially pumping and relay stations and whatever. But the whole premise of putting carbon dioxide under the ground is actually a technique which is used in the oil and gas extraction industry at this moment in time. In the old days, when oil was originally taken from the ground, it was purely the pressure of the oil itself underground which actually drove the oil up. And that soon dissipated, and everybody thought there's no oil left in. But the reality of it is, in some cases, there was almost 100% of the original oil left in. So one of the techniques they use is effectively this type of technique, where they pumped carbon dioxide in, and I just checked on the internet, it was carbon dioxide, sometimes even methane. They pump carbon dioxide in, which rebuilds the pressure and puts it out. So it is quite a standard thing to put carbon dioxide back into these redundant oil fields and gas fields. The technology has been proven at bulk off the Norwegian coast, where it's working very well at this moment in time. And what it would do is safeguard and commit to help the country, the whole country, meet its carbon commitments. It would almost make Staffordshire Moors effectively carbon neutral overnight once it's switched on, because we're the biggest emitter as a district in the whole of Staffordshire. So it is laudable from that point of view. And it does actually safeguard a key industry. What we don't want is to pretend we're doing something proper by reducing our carbon footprint by closing the plant and then importing it from China or more likely Greece and Turkey, where they don't have the same environmental standards. So notwithstanding the short and medium term disruption, notwithstanding the angst, I think once done, it will be another pipeline which just happens to be on the ground. With regards to the routing, I have questioned at length, and I haven't had a satisfactory answer on why they're effectively turning left at the junction of the A523 at Rushton, where it comes up Reed Lane, and then shoots uphill to go back downhill, because they're specifically saying they like as much of a level path as they possibly can. And I did check the contours and draw a sort of contour line to say you could do a shorter route, a neater route, a flatter route, by actually bypassing, you know, half Staffordshire completely. And that's not being an enemy, that's just the reality of the geography. And I'm still waiting for a response on that. But the general principle, if it's monitored, improved and done well, is a very laudable process. And the other advantage, the fourth advantage, is that with BNG, which is right down there in net gain, they will have to put that plus 10% minimum better than what they effectively damaged and took away. And hopefully, with a bit of careful planning, you don't damage too much to have to put it back, so to speak. But there would be a gain and there would be benefits to local communities which the pipeline goes through. So in an ideal world, it wouldn't have to happen, but these are the kind of things which we've got to look to till future.
Well, I've got a short question back to that. Would the deputy mayor and Anthony share the point of information?
Yeah, I just, obviously I can see that they've sent this, but there's no covering emails. What are they asking for? What are we responding to?
So there's a section at the end which talks about consultations. The consultation period this is phase one, as I understand it. Started on the 12th of January and ends on 27th of February. So in the first instance, they're just going to tell people what they're going to do and the kind of proposals as such. So
at this point, are we acknowledging receipt?
well, that's what I think we need to decide as a town council. Or we're putting a response in at this point. Because actually, whilst we know that the proposal is that it will go very north of Biddulph, and councillor Golden perhaps has some information. We don't, there isn't a finalised route yet.
If I can come in on that point, the route that's been mapped out shows effectively a 300-metre wide planned potential route. There are a couple of locations where they're going alternatives around different sized towns. I think they do that in Middlewich, I think.
I'm confident.
Yes, I'm very confident. So the route of this only takes off through the top corner of the North Ward, so it's a relatively little impact potentially on the town. The actual route will be scaled down from that 300-metre wide proposed potential route to a 30-metre strip of land that will be used. if I can just pick up a bit of what Councillor Yates was saying earlier, the reason this is important for the cement industry is because unlike most industries where the majority of their carbon emissions are due to heating and fuel that's burnt, the basic chemistry of the cement industry is that the process liberates a significant amount, a very large amount of carbon dioxide in the production of lime and cement. So the only way that you can actually reduce that, but you can't reduce it, but you have to effectively capture it and take it away. That's the only route to decarbonise the cement industry. It should also be worth noting that at the moment we're in the design phase, which is runs till 2027. There'll be effectively a planning permission, the DCO stage, which will run up till 2029. But construction on this won't start until late 2029, running into 2032. So it's a long way away. There's a lot of time to provide a consultation on it. There've been a number of briefings for councillors. There's been a couple of public meetings, and there's still a few more public meetings yet to go, as well as the webinars that were held. So there's a lot of information going out there to which they answer. I think in terms of our response to it, I think the impact on the town will be relatively minor, but in terms from a district point of view, it's a much larger impact because of the industry within the district. So I think a town council response is probably only required in the extent of not acknowledging the route and recognising for the residents in the north of the Biddle's North Ward that there may be some impact on their land, and to encourage them perhaps to make personal input to the consultation process and leave the majority of the input back to the district council, where it's a much larger impact on the economy of the district.
Okay. Can we remember that in case we put it into the business actually? My question was, am I wrong to think that some of this pipeline will be above the surface, above ground level? It's incredible to me, it should be.
If you're crossing the river, then it's more than likely it will be carried, as most pipelines are, above the surface. Whether it does that along Nelson, things I don't know, but there are quite a few examples where pipelines are carried above the surface, and then they are armoured or built into a grid structure. And if we just look locally, the Finch Bridge at the bottom of Station Road has a pipeline above the surface which runs it. And if you look at the All Problem Bridge, it's because they've been a long time ago. If you look at the bridge at Newpool Road, that has a pipeline which runs above ground to cross the railway line, because it was deemed, the ground was deemed as too sensitive, too problematic to go under. But there will be very, very few and far between, and it wouldn't be expected to be with any other sections in the Staffordshire Moors. It would be the reason they want the 30-metre sway is that it's cut and fill. They'll cut the trench and then drop the pipeline and fill it. There are some parts and there are pictures where if they're going under a main road, and I should think A523 being an example, but there's bigger roads in Cheshire which start passing motorways, that would be horizontal boring to get on with, or even in some cases actually using pre-existing bridge to actually carry the structure. These are a bigger version of what an example.
No, keep the right clarification. Where you are?
Essentially, I was going to say, similar to that, the vast majority in the document they suggested that there may be some above ground, but in the presentations it was essentially the vast majority will be cut and fill with an amount of horizontal boring for key areas under rivers and roads. In the presentation, there was no mention made of anything being left above ground.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I presume, and forgive me, I haven't read this in detail, but he will be chops. Presumably the disruption to the farmland is temporary, and once it's done, there'll be no sort of fence either side. You can't use this because there's okay. Because obviously it's going to impact quite a while it's being done. And did you say 300 metres wide? What? Why?
No.
Where would it be 300 metres wide?
The allocated land is 300 metres in order that they can determine the exact route within that. The final route will be 30 metres away, and it will be buried sufficiently such that nothing will impact in terms of agriculture above ground, so it can be returned to normal use.
It has just occurred to me though, this must be costing an absolute fortune.
It is.
I know it's not, I'm not saying it's not worthwhile, but has anybody thought about moving the cement works closer to the coast?
It's very hard to dig to move the limestone.
Perhaps not be always simplistic, as it seems to me, if you've got it, you know. I don't want to take jobs out of the mortgage, but it just seems like that might be an alternative.
Mr. Mayor, if I can answer that question for Councillor Jones. The document does actually quite clearly show the alternatives between shipping the raw materials from the quarries to being processed at the coast, and the cost is prohibitively expensive, along with the number of vehicles and rail movements would be vast.
I'm sure it's been considered, Mr. Mayor. I think they're thinking it out loud.
Yeah, just briefly, I was seeing massive disruption for certain people, and as elected representatives of Bill, I think we need to keep a close eye on this and see if it does affect, because the exact line hasn't been drawn yet, as you've said. So we know it's north, but we don't know exactly where. So when we get it a better idea, we need to be on board in the future. Thank you.
So in planning, we've got to consider our response based on this, this information that members have shared between us.
Chair, if I could suggest the response is basically, thank you for keeping us informed, the acknowledgement and a request that the town council, the chief officer, is informed of any webinars and public participation meetings, so that can be disseminated to all councillors and we can attend, because I have never come across any instance where people haven't been able to attend on this. The first meeting which I went to was on initially taking up the portfolio within a few weeks, which was held at Pavilion Gardens at Buxton, because Derbyshire have got 4. And it was an absolutely open event and very well promoted and advertised. The thing which surprised me is that during the course of the whole day, only about 20 people turned up. Yet it was the whole of the Pavilion Gardens, and there was advertising absolutely everywhere. So I think the important thing is that we all get to know when these meetings are being held. They're mostly held in teams. The areas affected, they will hire halls and things to come and see. Now, whether Biddulph has got enough of a contact that you'll put something on a Biddulph, I don't know. But you'll certainly put something on at Waterhouses. You should certainly put something on it at Leek, and you should certainly put something on it at Compton.
So to home in as a communication, you said a lot there, and it's all relevant to giving us relevant back.
Thank, acknowledge and inform are the key things.
Yes, but from the correspondence point of view, the direction, ask the chief officer to follow. What is going to be the key request? Yes, and then I'll go down board.
It probably is a good thing in way it's going to get any carbon dioxide and everything. But the one thing that does worry me is it's going to take 3 years to do it. The cost, potentially if I read what was in here, it's only going to take 3 years worth of carbon dioxide before it's filled everything up. So what's going to happen after that 3 years? They're going to dig another one.
Yeah,
That's a bit of worry.
Yeah, but in regard to our response at this moment, is it that relevant to our key response to learning about it? You can't Jackson.
Yeah, I think there is a link in there somewhere for one of those savage norms. I think that's what we did this afternoon. I was just, when I saw this, I thought, I remember they really need to get in touch with the guy called Mike Graham, who very famously on Talk TV suggested you could actually grow concrete. Well, that would be a shortcut to do with his mind. He's had the sack from Talk TV now because of the that's all really I would say. But it is exciting, really, how much work there's going to be for a lot of people actually, building this pipeline. It's going to be a lot of work for a lot of people for a lot of years. And there's loads and loads of places, if you think about it, where there's gaps underground where material has been taken away. I mean, Cheshire, how much solids has been taken away. coal mines, there's loads and loads of cavities underground, but how many are suitable, obviously, it's not me.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
I believe councillor Yates proposed, as I understand it, to acknowledge the receipt of the information and the quality of the information that we've got, and to ask the peak cluster to keep us informed of any changes, including any public consultation. If that is the case, I will second that proposal.
Everyone happy to take a vote on that proposal, please? In favour? Thank you. Now we look at item 89. If Town Council signed civility and respect case in October 2022, and continues to be committed to upholding the values. There is a document further in the time that I believe is relevant to each councillor. What would you officer think?
Can do. So, those of you who were here in 2022 recall that we have a motion to sign civility and respect pledge at that time. So the National Association of Local Councils has encouraged us to present you with this document, which is the Councillor's Statement of Assurance, which is basically confirmation of your understanding of your duties as a councillor. So you will abide by the Nolan principles, be respect those laws, which will uphold values identified in the council's code of conduct, and attend any relevant training. So that's the three principal points there. And as I say, it's come from the National Association of Local Councils. And it's, I think probably to proceed, I think we would like each councillor to sign it, but in terms of proceeding this evening, I think it's a matter of committing to the principles within that.
I'm happy to propose that we will undertake to sign this document, and as the chief officer says, we acknowledge that we adhere to the principles that are put forward in it.
Thank you. Somebody.
Yes, I'm just wondering, obviously, we are well and truly in this term, and this particular council, is this something which is going to be introduced into the new council pack or elected council pack at the start of each term? And it's obviously more pertinent for the 4-year term as opposed to 2 3/4 years in.
It's absolutely relevant to any council at any point, but absolutely.
It's the only place to start, that's what I'm saying.
Part of the documents that we will be asking councillors to sign and start at any time.
Very relevant, that means
I would like to say on as well.
Yes, please. So that's the motion to accept this document. And take a vote in favour. Harry. Then. Now we turn to risk management. What the insurers, to confirm that insurance provider with the 28th of February onwards, 12 months, they've done the assessment of the review of management. We've got the copy of that, haven't we?
Yeah, so you've got the risk assessment that we provide you with annually, which is updated based on our assessment of risk at the moment. Obviously, you'll be familiar with the stuff in version 24. We have individual risk assessments for each area of our business and our work, which have much more detail, include all the low level risks, which we don't necessarily present you with within this. So the purpose of that document and the risk management policy is to ensure that we have effective insurance for the way of the town council. Now, if you don't mind considering the risk element of this agenda item this evening, and then deferring the quotes until the finance strategy management committee meeting on Monday, we've added a significant amount to our insurance policy this time in terms of ensuring of the cenotaph elements in the town on the frontage, and so
it's taking a little while to get panel quotes from the providers, there's lots of questions coming back to that. I'll propose for approval at finance if you're happy to defer that decision there.
No, I'm just supporting the proposal that the chief officer just made, that we defer the decision on the actual supplier provider until the finance meeting.
And when further quotes have been received.
Yeah.
Seconded, Mr. Mayor, you can.
Thank you.
Those in favour of that proposal? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to consider any additions to the risk element? The risk assessment and risk management policy there for your consideration? Are there any additional items you'd like us to consider or you want to accept?
Looking at this, may I move as is?
You want to supplement?
I'll second.
Yeah.
Those in favour of that. Those in favour of that suggestion? That. That's majority.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Now, 191. The prefect. Further recommendations in the finance strategy and the management of the union. And there are three separate stages for this. Item. And those are all stage A is the committee budgets 2026, 27. And they are those are contained within the A5, size section.
Last question, where are they in the spreadsheet? Because I was looking at the spreadsheet and I couldn't find them. So I don't know if I'm looking in the wrong place. Are they on another tab somewhere or?
Well, it's just the items on the end, the budgets. So individual committees will be responsible for certain elements within, so the committee budgets. So for example, burial grounds will go to recreation communities, allotments the same. So it's that last column G. That you're looking for confirmation.
So there isn't actually a sort of breakdown of the individual allocations to each of the committees. It's just whatever they currently sit within the lines that are on the.
It's broken down, but there isn't a heading for each one. Does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Councillor Jackson, will you wishing to speak?
Sorry,
Did you wish to speak?
I don't know whether this is the right spot. Well, I'll do it anyway. We did suggest we were going to set up an efficiency working group, didn't we? Could I suggest, well, one of the first things that group actually looks at, and it's sort of on the last page, towards the bottom, it's about the income side, and it's like the tenant income. I would love to see a breakdown of the tenant and the income we get from that tenant, and also look at how much that tenant is using of the town hall, and whether it's a fair amount of money that we're actually charging for it. I know that's probably the wrong place, I know. We did say we were going to set up from that meeting an efficiency group, did we not?
We did, absolutely. So that's on the agenda for the finance meeting next week, is to agree between the work areas for that one.
But that bit will be put on again.
It's already.
Yeah.
One of these days I'll catch it.
Thank you. So, the thing, paragraph A is to agree the committee budgets. Are there any points before I ask for the proposer to accept? Oh, may I
Propose that, please.
thank you, Councillor Hart. Thank Councillor Jackson for second. May we have a vote, please? Paragraph A. In favour. Thank you. Now paragraph B, fees and charges for 2026-27 with tax information about potential town hall increases. Now these increases are very much toward the back of the tap. It charges for the burial ground and the renting out to the town hall in various regards. So, then.
The only comment that I made, that I wanted to make was, obviously I wasn't at the finance committee, but, and I note that the 5% increase pretty much across the board in terms of the fees, for, the burial ground on the room hire and stuff like that, room hire and this one and something, yeah. That's, pretty much across the board, and, not so much on the burial fees, but on the room hire, is the 5%, is that taken into account? The increase in electric, the increase in the significant increase in pretty much all the costs related to the town hall, and that covers in which case then I'm happy with that to propose that.
Seconded.
I was going to move it, but somebody's moved it, because I'm just saying, it so.
So, those in favour then of accepting the additional charge information and in mention of paragraph C. Those in favour of that proposal. 5%. Is that it? Paragraph C is now. The precept requirement for 2026-27, there's the figure £548,785, and that is based on a tax base of 6,373 properties, residential properties. That is what the committee, the great consideration, recommends our increase to be.
Seconded.
Voting in favour. Voting back, we are voting in favour. Those in favour of that? So that proposal is carried. Those against, just for the record. Anyone against?
I don't have a question. Sorry. Any questions? Okay. I'm just really aware that whenever you're talking precepts, people are actually never really that interested in figures. They're always interested in percentages. Are we purposely avoiding that? Is that something? No. I missed it.
Third page.
14.37.
Which one? We're going to find out for some. On the big one. Yeah.
Right to the back page.
14.27. Right. Yes. Okay. So apologies.
Okay.
Or 2 pints again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We moved to a vote on that without actually having any opportunity to comment on it. The question I would have asked if we'd not moved to the vote so promptly is, does this change in the precept factor in any opportunities for the matters that might come out of the local government reorganisation in terms of the opportunities for this council to take on additional responsibilities and therefore cost of those in? The reason I say that is looking at the figures that are presented here and the increase, which I reckon represents about £3 a day. I think we're actually not being ambitious enough in setting the precept in this way at this time, when there are opportunities before us for this town to take on a greater involvement in activities that are important to the residents of the town. That's the point I was going to make at that point, but obviously you've moved to a vote already, so I shall be abstaining from that vote. Thank you.
Well, the only point I was going to make, and I hope this is reflected in discussions that happened in the committee meeting, was that actually at the moment we don't know what that local government reorganisation picture is. And so it wouldn't be reasonable for us to increase the precept for the population of the town based on something that we don't know. The position that the committee found themselves in was, as we've spoken at great length about, is that we need a new garden for remembrance, Woodhouse burial ground, and the majority of the increase there is to go towards that project, which then leaves us still in a financially suitable, adequate position in order to take what comes at us next.
Thank you, thank you for that explanation, Yvonne.
Well, I hope people will agree with that. I'm still really confused.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thanks, sir. Now, there's electronic, obviously, well, you sent a statement out earlier on, didn't you? If passed tonight, what we'll put into the public domain,
Yeah.
with a pie chart. And on the pie chart, you can see it's very, very small within the town council section. Now, the only comment I'll make, you can probably say we can't do it, but it says town and parish. Can't we make that say Bill Town Council? Because people don't realise what town and parish actually means on the pie chart. It means us, basically. Could you just rephrase that little tiny section slightly? So people realise that's us.
Yeah.
But it's not very clear as what the deal is town and parish on that pie chart, in my opinion. Okay, thank you.
I'd second that. Thank you.
Yes, really, it's a point of clarification in some respects for what Councillor Garvey has rightly alluded to. We had a cabinet meeting this afternoon at Staff Small's District Council, and much the same way as our meetings, we ended up in confidential, didn't we? And basically, we were, one of the aspects which come up was to do with assets and valuations and considerations, which wasn't really on the agenda. Sometimes meetings get like that, and I think this meeting sometimes gets like that. But the reality of it is, with the way that asset transfers work, you know, going through the legal side, going through the due diligence was one of the things which all district and borough councils, I'm sure the county councils are the same, have effectively been instructed by the Ministry of Housing and Local Government and Community, is to ensure absolute due diligence that if an asset is transferred to a town and parish council, which they are encouraging, right? So don't get the impression that this is a break, it absolutely isn't. But to make sure that those towns and parish councils, some parish councils only effectively have 3 councillors, if you think of the ones in the small ones, the small ones, have got the capacity, have got the financial position, and understand that they're not, and it's the phrase I use, you're not particularly taking on an asset so much as you're taking on a liability. Because that asset you take on, it belongs then to the town. It's not something which you can realise the value of if you don't like it anymore. It's something that you've got to live with. And it's easy to say, oh, we don't like, you know, Staff Small's District Council or Cannock Chase Borough Council charge you for that car park. We'll take it on as a town council, be free. It's the liability of repair going forward. That will take 12 months minimum. So the thing is, that is a conversation really. The very valid point you brought up, extremely valid and extremely personal point for them, but that is something which we really need to be putting into the mix. Probably when we've got clarity on where the direction LGR is going, what we're going to be left with, what we want to do as the committees which go forward. So I think it's a conversation which we really started in, we planned for now, but started in, it's around about November time, ready for the budget next year. Because there's signs now that some parish councils within the local area, they've been putting presets up 20%, 30%, because of knowing they're taking on a liability.
So you're giving this, you know, there, but it was a principle, was it not?
Yes.
That was agreed that the town council should bear in mind.
Yes.
From the outset.
Yes.
That we should be looking for opportunities, that so long as they were financially viable opportunities.
And that takes time, which it doesn't.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Governor on.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, this came out of the resources overview scrutiny panel, which I chaired at Staff Williams, and it was emphasised by the leader and a number of the cabinet members that there will be 1 or 2 parishes, unfortunately, that haven't got the wherewithal to take assets on, and they may willingly want to take the assets on, but they won't have the infrastructure or the personnel to do it, and it's the liability side that will be very leery for some. They'll want to take it on, but can they manage it? Can they handle it? That's the crux of the matter. So I have no problem at all with Biddulph Town Council being able to take on anything that's thrown. We are very, very good. I keep on saying this. We box well above our weight. And if the district or county for that matter were to offer us something, I'm sure we'd be able to handle it, whatever it is. But unfortunately, I'm afraid there are one or two organisations out there that won't be able to do it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So really the motto is, don't buy more alcohol than you can chew.
Exactly. And there's due diligence on all sides there.
Yeah. Thank you. Nothing.
Yeah, just
We've got to move on.
Very briefly on the back of Councillor Hart's comments, I mean, it is important, you know, if local councils are trying to take assets on, as that's taken on board. But clearly, once it goes to LGR, post 2028, the unit, whichever form it takes, they'll be in charge of those assets then. So it's a different ballgame than we're dealing with at the moment.
Yes.
We're dealing with the district council at the moment, which, you know, I think we've got a good relationship with. There's representatives around this table. But when it becomes a unitary, if those assets haven't already been transferred and people want to take them on, you'll be dealing with a bigger entity, so yeah, bigger council. But that needs to be more in mind as well.
Thank you. So, we've already voted on that. Yeah, but that's right. These are things. Yeah, thank you. So the next item, number 92, although it appears at this point in the agenda, the chief officer advises me that it would be better moved a little bit further down into confidential.
I second that, please.
Okay.
And Councillor Darby second. Right, so now we have a vote is to do this moving down. Thank you. So we now look at item 93, the accounts and finance. Yes. So section 8, which would be integral part of the pack. So Councillor Hall.
Yeah, it's just a question really for Sarah. The two council grants that I put in, are they going in next month? If they don't appear to be in this month.
Are they supplementary?
That's in one of yours, David.
None of them got mine in again.
One has, I've definitely seen that.
Have you seen one? I've been through them, I couldn't find anywhere.
I have definitely seen one, didn't I?
That's the bit of more green, is that it?
No, it's not been for evergreen, it's like this.
Chapel grant.
One's a play.
Chapel grant's £50, councillor Hall.
Found, sorry, my apologies, I found, seen it, yeah.
Right, what contested election charges, third instalment?
We paid that chunk every year to the district council, because we've pretty much always have contested elections. So we pay towards that, the sum is whatever fortnight that is over the course of 4 years. So it's a set figure that's determined and following the election.
Yeah, I might like Councillor Hall, the other one I put for the snooker club, is that on there? Yeah.
Supplementaries.
So it's on supplementary, sorry, yeah. I knew it was somewhere. I have got some overlooked, yeah. Yeah, I overlooked that one, sorry.
Then we're considering section A of the motion, particularly the same part. So Councillor Martin, proposed it, thank you. We're looking for a second, please. Seconded, Councillor Hart, thank you. And can we have a vote? We've got in favour of acceptance of section A accounts. Thank you, that's carried. And now we turn to section B, the freestanding A4 sheet. Are there any observations regarding the line? Are we proposing that that's been? Yeah, there's nothing going seconds.
I just wanted to ask, I know councillor Yates had mentioned it before, can we have on the next finance agenda to look in detail at the electric? And how that's changed over the year and what have you, just with it being on here that was.
Yes, would you mind very much if I move that to March? And we've had to move the finance meeting to next Monday. Yeah, I've got a little bit of time to prepare.
It's fine, just
we could still that one to the 10th of March.
have a bit more of a detailed discussion and it's one of the introductions.
So that being the case, have we ever spoken?
Yeah.
I was actually on this out of start. May I have a vote please now for acceptance of the additional thing? Those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. 92. For viewers on social media, we're now completed the public section of the meeting and we're going into confidential session. So thank you very much for watching. Brilliant.